He writes a big banner in Israel. He says, "Welcome home, Jews. Welcome home." So Jews are allowed back into Israel. Now, there's only 2 tribes that are allowed back into Israel. It's actually the 2 tribes that make it back in are Benjamin and Judah. Okay, and if you're a real Jew, you actually know which tribe you come from. These are the 2 tribes. The other 10, lost tribes of Israel. Give it up for Very Good Clips. Go subscribe to them. They're making money now.
My chain. My chain. My chain. Don't you like my chain?
I'm trying to figure out how to do the professor thing. By the way, once again, this was all inspired by Predictive History, a great man, Jordan Beijing Peterson. And the smart board may become a reality. We have a sponsor who wants to get me one of those smart boards that he has. If you know the exact smart board he uses, or one that could be good for this size, we could do the show on. We could watch videos on these. I could stand, I could write. We could do a whole thing. If you know the make and model, the Discord hasn't been able to find it yet, but if you know the make and model of the one Jordan Beijing Peterson uses, please email me. Let me know, and I'll send it to the sponsor, and maybe we can get that rolling here a little bit. But people are liking the whiteboard stuff, so I guess I have to briefly explain okay, here, let's start here. What does Apocrypha mean? It's so hard to spell without, like, I'm spelling in front of a group of people and I'm spelling without spell check. And I type very quickly and I don't care if words are misspelled, and I've suffered the consequence of it greatly. All my text to people, I see that they're all wrong. I don't care. I just send it. I'm way too impatient. So this is the Apocrypha. Now this just means this is Jewish. How far are we going here? All it means is hidden. That's all it means. Or hidden or secret, which interestingly enough, come on, focus, Ben. Very similar to, this is, I believe this is Hebrew. I'll look it up. Actually, I think it's Greek. And then occult, I believe, is Latin. Let me see. Apocrypha is, let's see here. Yeah, I want to know its literal meaning, though. I don't want to know its literal. To hide away in the Greek. So this is Greek. I was right about that. And then occult means, secret or hidden. So they're very similar words. This has nothing to do with the apocalypse or anything. That's very confusing for people, I think, in terms of, because there's so many texts that are the Apocrypha. This just means it didn't make it into the accepted canon. So one of the books that is considered the Apocrypha is this. It's the Book of Enoch. Now, here's the thing. As someone who was raised very Christian and had to read the Bible all the time, I have no idea who this is. Nobody. And this guy is mentioned in Genesis almost immediately. Enoch, it's very quickly said, I don't know why I didn't know this. It said he walked with God. He was basically taken immediately, and he lived 365 years. Now, it says very briefly at the beginning of Genesis that his son was Methuselah, which we talked about last week. Methuselah was his son. This is all mentioned in Genesis. So this is a real guy that he gave birth to him, and he was his dad, and his dad was this, and here was his son, and here's how long they lived. a lot of the Bibles, especially the Old Testament, is really boring. It's like this guy lived this long and he gave birth to him. It's all about, because for the Jews, that's important because you got to trace it all through DNA. So son was Methuselah, who was the oldest man to ever live, supposedly. I think 3 or 4 people right after this, it said God didn't need to put the divine spirit into man anymore. So then the oldest man was only 120 years old after that. So that explains, like, well, because you're reading that, why don't people live 1,000 years anymore? It says God takes some sort of divine spirit out of them. So this is basically the context for everything. Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, or Seth, all the way down to here to Enoch. So it does briefly say in Genesis, it confirms that he was taken to heaven at 365 years old. That's a weird number too, because in the Book of Enoch, there's a whole thing with 365 days in a year and the calendar that we're given. But let me find this. So let's erase this now. So it's very important to point out that the Book of Enoch, that this Apocrypha here, this is not accepted by Jews either. There are no Jews that like this book. None. This was appreciated during the and please stop me if I'm wrong. This was appreciated during the Intertestamental period. Okay, so I believe Malachi is the last book in the Old Testament. He's the last prophet that Jews accept was a prophet. I believe that ends around like 400 BCE. Right, we understand Christ was born, what was it, like 4 AD, 5 AD, something like that? 400 BCE until Christ, right? Basically. This is the intertestamental period right now. This is when the Book of Enoch was written, even though it claims it's an older, it takes place much before that, right? But this book was very important during this time. We know this because people like Jude and other people in the New Testament make reference to it. Now, that's just establishing the credibility for the Book of Enoch. There is one group, I should say real quick, there's one group of Jews that actually accept the Book of Enoch as canon. I think they call them rabbinical texts or non-rabbinical texts. Like, what do the rabbis decide is in the Tanakh, right? Jews don't fuck with this YN right here. All right? They don't fuck with them. But there's one group of Jews that do. There's one group of Jews that do. These motherfuckers right here. I bet you didn't know about these YNs. They accept this as canon. You see that? Ethiopian Jews. Now these guys, Ethiopian Jews, they're darker than Jews. I know that's surprising. They are darker than Jews. They are from, so you have to understand that the 12 tribes of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel, these come from Jacob. His father was Isaac, and his father was Abraham. Abraham was the first Jew, right? We know this. Abraham probably lived, I'm trying to remember. I know Moses was probably like 1400 BCE, I think. So Abraham was before him. It doesn't matter. What's important is that from the 12 tribes of Israel, these guys are made a diaspora, okay? These 12 tribes. They're made a diaspora when in about 700 BCE, Nebuchadnezzar II, the king, he comes into Israel and he fucks them all up. He fucks these bitches up and he scatters them and he goes, he comes in here. He comes into Israel. He's like, you are all a bunch of Jews. You got to go. I don't like Jews. No Jews. Kicks them out. This is the historical record this is the Babylonian rule, right? Then in like, I think it's like and then all these dates aren't going to be exact, but around like here's what I remember, like 490 BC. And again, if I had a smart board, I could actually have PowerPoints and stuff and be accurate with these dates. But I think it was like maybe 150 years later or something, a motherfucker comes along named Cyrus the Great. Now stop me if I'm being retarded. He comes in. He's Persian. He comes into Israel. He defeats Nebuchadnezzar, throws them out, and he goes, Jews are allowed back in. So he has a big banner. Here, I'll write this out. So then Cyrus the Great has a big banner that says, he writes a big banner in Israel, and he says, welcome home, Jews. Welcome home. So Jews are allowed back into Israel. Now, there's only 2 tribes that are allowed back into Israel. It's actually the 2 tribes that make it back in are Benjamin and Judah. Okay, and if you're a real Jew, you actually know which tribe you come from. These are the 2 tribes. The other 10, lost tribes of Israel. There's a whole bunch of motherfuckers that are lost to the sands of time. These 10, they don't make it back. Only these Jews make it back. The tribes of Benjamin and Judah. Now, some of the Jews we can actually supposedly trace through DNA and everything else. Some of them are Palestinian, but you didn't hear that from me. There's a reason they don't do DNA testing in Israel. You can look that up if you want. But one of the tribes of Israel, are we still on YouTube, by the way? I'm saying a lot of things I probably shouldn't. The tribe of Dan finishes in Ethiopia. There we are. So now you have Ethiopian Jews, but they're not going off of what the tribe of Benjamin and Dan, or tribe of Benjamin and Judah are doing. They're doing their own fucking thing down there, man. They're down there. You got to remember that the Israelites, dude, they come out of Egypt. They come down here. They wander down here. This is Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai. It's a big-ass fucking mountain down here. They come down here. Moses gets the 10 Commandments, right? Commandments. They wander the desert for 40 years. They come back up here, and then they go into Israel. The Babylonian shit happens. Cyrus the Great lets them back in. Only 2 tribes make it. But so some of these they settle down, and that's the tribe of Dan here. Now these are like I don't want to say they're black Jews, but they're kind of like black Jews. Now here's the cool motherfucking thing about these Ethiopian Jews. Here's the cool thing about these brothers. First of all, they weren't accepted into Israel until like 1970 something. They had to fight for a seat at the table. You know, the whole Israel return to home thing. They finally got the right to return back to Israel if they want to. There's only like 150,000 of them. They don't matter. Jews only make up 0.2% of the population. There's like 15.8 million people of them. I'm just going off the word of Google. I haven't counted them. I'm not the guy counting Jews, but they're 0.2% of the population, and they're 99% of conversation these days. So the Ethiopian Jews love the Book of Enoch. But what is the Book of Enoch? And why don't the Jews like it? Well, let's talk about it. Let's break it down. What the fuck happens in this book? So a lot of it's really boring and it sucks ass and is gay. But let's talk about the linear narrative of this. So you have to understand that there is a difference between archangels, which our friends in the Catholic Church are well aware of because you guys pray to these guys. And again, stop me once I'm wrong. Stop me once I'm wrong. You guys keep me in check. There's the archangels, okay, which we know about if we read the Bible. I didn't know from the Book of Enoch that we have these things called the Watchers. Okay, now the thing about the Watchers, so this is like Gabriel, Raphael, there's like some others, right? There's this group called the Watchers. I was raised in the church, went to church for 3 days a week, all the time. All the time. I've never heard of this. Never heard of this. These Watchers who are in heaven, they have a bunch of names. There's a bunch of them. They see, once God creates the earth, that men are going around and they're impregnating women and having beautiful. So this is a Watcher. I'm just gonna draw like a guy like that, like a weird, like alien guy, just looking down from heaven, doing this, going, very good, very good. He's up in a cloud. He's looking down at the earth here. And he sees that men, I think it's a group of about 200 of them, but there's 20 or so who are like the highest council. They're looking down at earth going, damn, there's some fine ass down there. Now I'm going to show you. Let's go through the actual verse here because you can see, because I actually have a theory that they're pedophiles. Now, I haven't read interpretations of this text, so I don't know how far I'm off. So you're kind of looking through the lens of me right now. So, see, get me in here. So basically, chapter 2 is the creation, and it's all from the point of view of Enoch, who's having these. Basically, the Book of Enoch is this warning where he sees the future, and he also sees that a flood is going to come and wipe away the earth. But also, he sees like the future of the rebuilding of the temple and Jerusalem and everything. So here we go, fallen angels. And it came to pass when children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. Okay, that's very weird. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them and said to one another, come, let us choose wives among the children of men and beget us children. And Semjaza, who's one of the Watchers, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves to mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. And they swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it, and they were all, in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared, blah, blah, blah. Here are their names. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Their names are like, whatever, Ananel, whatever. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. Okay, so they, these guys, let's call them what they are. They're pedophiles. These guys, this is these are all pedophiles. Boom, boom. They're looking down and they're seeing like little kids and stuff. Wee, and they're going, damn. They go down. What they do is they be pedophiles and stuff. And they have children with all of them. Now, here's the important thing about the children. Is that they all pick for themselves a child bride, essentially. And they make something called the Nephilim. Now, I know it looks like Nephilim, but it's Nephilim. I took the time to actually look up how it's pronounced. You're welcome. Now you can't spurg out in the chat. So the Nephilim, this is Hebrew for giant. That's all it means. That's all. Every time you hear this in like some weird comment section of a Sean Ryan YouTube video, all it is this, is giants. Here's the cool thing about these guys. It says and they became pregnant and they bear great giants. They became pregnant and they bear great giants. And hold on, sorry, the text is cutting off. I didn't realize that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Fuck. Shit. Here we go. For the others together took themselves wives, and each chose himself one. They began to go unto them and defile themselves with them. Defile, which it's like, okay, it doesn't sound, I don't know, man. It sounds like they're pedophiles to me. They taught, hold on. And they became pregnant and they bare great giants, the Nephilim, whose height was 3,000 ells. Okay, so you're wondering, okay, giants, what are we talking? Like, we know we have the story of the, we have the story of, sorry, it's very hot in this room. We have the story of David and Goliath, right? But in terms of him being a Goliath giant, he's like, supposedly in the Bible, he's like 9 or 10 feet tall. So he's just, he's corn fed. If you don't think motherfuckers are that tall anymore, you haven't watched South Oak Cliff play in a state championship down in Austin, Texas. They're breeding motherfuckers down there that look like Slender Man. They're just dunking from behind the backboard and all sorts of crazy shit. But these guys are 3,000 L's. Now, here's the cool thing about L's. It's a standard of measurement. It's this. It's literally this right here to your elbow, and that's where elbow comes from. 3,000 L's. It was a measurement. This roughly equates to 4,500 feet tall. Okay, now, so you're saying, okay, so these Nephilim, they're 3,000 L's tall, 4,500 feet. What the hell? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Well, they start eating everybody. So they start eating all the men. It says when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind, and they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish and devour one another's flesh. Okay, so these pedophiles came down to earth and molested these kids and got them pregnant. They gave birth to 4,500 foot tall giants called the Nephilim, excuse me. These giants then in turn, it was like World of the War style stuff where they went around and they ate everybody and drank everybody's blood. And then I think they also fucked all the animals, according to this. It says they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish and devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Okay, so now this is what's important as well. The Watchers, the pedophiles, they're not done. These YNs right here. The Nephilims are the YNs. These are the Unks. Right here. Unks, YNs. So you have tall ass motherfuckers like yeah, we're gonna eat every last motherfucker. We're gonna eat every last motherfucker. I'm Slender Man, bitch. I'm Slender Man. I'm gonna eat everybody, motherfucker. So they're eating people. They're fucking the animals. So I'll put a dog here too, because for whatever reason they're fucking the dogs. And again, I don't know if this is the right translation. I'm just going off of this. So Unks, YNs. The Unks aren't done. The Unks are like, all right, y'all need to sit your white asses down and listen real quick, because I'm going to explain some shit to you. So they brought to the world, says they taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids. So it taught them how to do makeup, all kinds of costly stones, and all of the coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Says another one of them taught enchantments, root cuttings. One taught astrology, the knowledge of the clouds, signs of the earth, the signs of the sun, and the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. Okay, so these motherfuckers taught them alchemy, I'll just say vanity. They brought them, here's how you make a damn. They set them down like, here, you're on the streets right now. Here's how I'm gonna give you, motherfucker. You need to stay strapped. You need to know that the moon make your bitch crazy because she on her period. You need to know when that shit coming. You need to know how to turn water into wine so your ass can get drunk. And I'm gonna teach you about gold. They were like unk shit. Like, I'm gonna set all these wines down on the stoop. Meanwhile, by the way, remember, they're getting eaten by giants. They're all getting swallowed whole by these YNs that are trying to kill everybody. So basically, then what happens is chapter 4, the intercession of the angels, because obviously it doesn't stay this way. But this is what's important here is this all makes sense because you don't think of it as the Book of Enoch. Book of Enoch is almost like a footnote in the story of Genesis. What the Book of Enoch is, dude, this is all it is. This is all it is. That's all it is. Why did God flood the earth? Why did he have to kill everybody? It's because of this. The pedophiles broke out of heaven. They molested everybody. And then giants started eating people. It's just a prequel to Noah's Ark. That's the way you got to think of it. It's like, you got to think of the Bible like lore so you can understand it. Otherwise, you just get in the weeds, right? You guys know it's like following the lore of Skibbity Toilet or anything else. Anything else you retards like. What if I think you're so retarded you like Skibbity Toilet? Do you guys like Skibbity Toilet? I'd stop doing the show if you guys legitimately watch. I don't know. There's got to be adults out there that watch Skibbity Toilet. But they're probably beating cheeks to it. Probably really beating their meat to it. So then Michael, remember we talked about the archangels earlier? Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth. These are the archangels. And they said, man, we got to snitch. So then they said to God, Lord of lords, because somehow God didn't know for whatever reason, King of kings, God of the ages, the throne of the glory standeth unto all generations of the ages. And thy name holy and glorious and blessed in all ages. Thou hast made all things and power over all things. Thou seest all things and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel has done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth and have slept with the women. Well, I guess, yeah, but the daughters, that's the thing where I'm like, how long did people really live back then? You know? I don't know, man. I guess technically they lived like thousands of years. So are you a pedophile? Like by the time you were like 8, were you actually like 400 years old? Because people lived so long back then. So being a pedophile was... Maybe you were a pedophile if you were into people who were like under 250 years old. Like you meet someone and they're like 85 years old and you're like, damn, I got to wait until your 250th birthday. I'll call you. And now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit to the gates of heaven. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Then said the Most High, the Holy and the Great One, spake and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech and said, go to Noah and tell him in my name. So here you go. Hide thyself and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed. And a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. So yeah, someone go and tell Noah that he needs to get himself a damn boat. So he goes, yeah, go kill them all. So Raphael, here's what's cool about him. This YN. So you got to get rid of all these guys. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. And he's going to kill everybody. He's going to kill them. He's going to kill all the pedophiles. So what he does, before he does the flood, what he's going to do to kill all these YNs, and obviously he can't kill the Watchers. These things are divine beings. You can't kill a divine being. You can't kill one of the Watchers. So this is actually the first instance we have of hell. Here's what you need to understand about hell. In the Old Testament, there is no hell. There's a place called Sheol. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I've been with Jews, and I'm like, isn't your God's name Yahweh? And they say something totally different. I don't think we pronounce anything correctly because we don't know Hebrew. Sheol. Here's what you need to understand about Jews. They don't give a shit about the afterlife. I don't know if you've been able to tell it all. This is a place of just darkness. Darkness. And kind of just like this nothingness, this like that people go to. This is, no one really people care about like bringing heaven to earth and the Jew, whatever, you know, take that with a grain of salt in the Jews. But this is what they believe. There's no hell. There's no gnashing of teeth. The word hell is in the Old Testament, but not in that fire and brimstone sense. But Jesus mentions hell like 70 times. He mentions heaven 3 times this amount. So he's not a true cynic. So Jews don't really have a hell. And, you know, maybe they should have one, by the way. Maybe they would stop a lot of the shit they're doing. Instead, what they have in the Book of Enoch, you get, and again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness and make an opening in the desert, which is in Duduel, and cast him therein and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, cover him with darkness, let him abide there forever and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire. And heal the earth which the angels have corrupted and proclaim. Fuck, sorry, hold on. I've been talking for a long time. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and against the children of fornication and destroy the children of the Watchers from amongst men. And no request that they make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. I'm trying to find the part. Here we go. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the Watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plan of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. Ba ba ba. Cleanse the earth from all the oppression. So he's doing he's doing a genocide, folks. Maybe it's a gray area genocide here. I mean, he did have to get rid of all the giants. Who's to say if the giants were using people on Earth as human shields? It's hard to know, but maybe he had to go in there with water. There was no other way to do it. He had to level all the children's hospitals. So let's go back to that, though, because he actually describes hell here. There we go. Abyss of fire into the torment and the prison in which they should be combined forever. So the Watchers, these are pedophiles. So the pedos, These are the pedos that taught us they taught us how to do science and how to be enslaved in chains to the material world. They're pedos. Watchers. Watchers kind of connotates they're like peeping toms almost. It's like watchers. What the hell? They're watchers. They're pedophiles. They are locked now in a prison. They're in a prison. Being burned alive forever, all the watchers. That's their punishment. You can't kill them, so he's just going to torture them till the end of their days. But this is the first, that's interesting that you have that. And again, this was important during the intertestamental period. This probably helped develop ideas of hell to these people. Again, it's a non-rabbinical text, the Book of Enoch. Jews don't fuck with this except the black Jews, the Ethiopian Jews. One of the reasons might be that, it has all the pedophiles burning in hell. But, so then here at the end of, we go to chapter 5. Some of this is really boring. I'm just interested in the text. I'm trying to remember right now. Let me turn the fan on. I'm so hot right now, dude. It's so hot in this room. I'm burning alive with all this equipment. So, so what's important here is this also has like a lasting effect on mankind, according to Enoch, because the souls / spirits of the Nephilim, who, as you know, are half man, half divine creature, these souls and spirits haunt the whole world, and is a reason for a lot of the evil that we have today. So no one believes in this book except Ethiopian Jews, I guess, and maybe some other groups, but I'm trying to find, I can't find that place right now with the, oh yeah, so then chapter 6, he talks about, Enoch says, I was taken by the angels, I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss, I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and a horrible place. I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. So this is our first descriptions of hell, which kind of kicks ass. Now, what's interesting about this is a work that is very, 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 very relevant today. And I mean, it's, for my money, it's probably the greatest thing I've ever read. If I was ranking things I read, can you see that? No, my spinny thing's in the way. I'll put that right there. Put that right there. 2. This is tough. Man, this is hard. Actually, I'm gonna switch these two. Switch these two. These are just my things where I'm reading it and I go, holy fuck. Shit, I'm not really sure. That's hard. That's so hard. I don't even know, but these texts are so important. So the reason I bring this up is because there was a guy named John Milton. Now, John Milton, he lived after Shakespeare, and he wanted to be Shakespeare. And so he wrote a book called Paradise Lost. Now, Paradise Lost is about the angels being thrown out of heaven, aka Satan, and then Satan goes back to the garden. He like travels through hell, and he finds Adam and Eve, and he tries to tempt them, aka so he's the the serpent, right? That's the book. It's written in iambic pentameter, so it's 10 beats per sentence. I'm getting lightheaded. Fuck. Maybe I should have ate some food. Kind of going along with that food here. Wrote Paradise Lost. It's very similar to the Book of Enoch, which I found very bizarre because I didn't think there was any kind of version of anything like this. I thought this was a total inversion of the whole thing. This is someone who's very sympathetic towards the most evil character in the Bible, right? This is like a like a heretical thing. And then I see this in the Book of Enoch, which is probably written in 400 BCE, and it's read up until like 300 BCE, and then it falls out of favor. People stop reading it. Paradise Lost doesn't come until like 1630. What did Shakespeare die in 1616? He bases this book, this Satan character, he bases it off of two people. One, Iago, from the play Othello by Shakespeare. And the second character he bases Satan. So I'll put Satan. The second character he bases it off of is fuck. Let me crack this. Hold the fucking phone here. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know why I'd be blanking on the greatest character ever written. Is Hamlet. It's the cunning and deceit of Iago, right? The trickery and the intellect of Hamlet. Now, he falls short. There's pretty much no one written that's as smart as Hamlet. This is kind of the two characters that Cormac McCarthy bases the Judge off of. But from this what's interesting is I feel like I found Paradise Lost before Paradise Lost. We don't have confirmation that John Milton ever read this book. No confirmation of it. We can only guess. It's very possible because, right, it's the angels being banished from heaven and sent to hell. But the reason why this is relevant is because, look, we go Paradise Lost, Iago, and Hamlet. This is what the Satan character is based off of, right? And then Moby Dick, we have Ahab. The character Ahab, who's based off of the Satan from Paradise Lost and Iago from Othello. And then guess who read Moby Dick every year, and it was his favorite book? We have Blood Meridian, the Judge. So you see how books are made out of other books? This goes to this, goes to this, goes to this. And in some way, this goes to here, but I mean, it's all very interesting how you can kind of draw a straight line to all this shit. Fuck my ass, man. Anyway, there's a bunch of other gay shit in the book that sucks ass. But it's basically Enoch warning us what civilization is going to be like and how to what to do, and warning Noah about the flood and all that shit. Noah's bitch ass. Yeah, the Old Testament is basically God trying to trust Jews, and then they fail him, and then he has to either kill all of them or establish a new covenant. It's very interesting, and it sucks. You know why it sucks being a Christian? Because I don't have a damn covenant. It sucks, man. Christians have faith. I have to have faith that God is going to take care of me. He's going to provide for me. He's going to be good to me. Jews have a covenant. They have an actual binding agreement that you are the chosen people. So we hope, we believe, we have faith. They know. They know. They have a covenant. We don't have a covenant. We don't have one. We just got to have faith. It's a totally, and depending on the kind of Jew you are, you might say God didn't uphold his end of the bargain. But man, when it comes to the God of the Old Testament, all that stuff, dude, that's not God. There's no correlation there. That is not God. It is my own personal theory that I came to before even understanding what Gnosticism was, that Yahweh is bad. Kill, rape, do whatever you got to do. Kill and rape and kill anybody that gets in your way. It's all bloodshed. It's all killing. Doesn't condemn sexual slavery. You know, Jacob has like 4 wives. Abraham has sex with his prostitutes. So people are born into sexual slavery and they like die. No one condemns it in the Bible. It doesn't matter. There's no afterlife. There's only Sheol. He's bad. He's bad. And the Gnostics believe his name is actually Yaldabaoth. And these are early sects of Christians named Gnostics, Gnostic Christians, the Scythians, the Valentinians, other sects. All these people were genocided. They were killed. They were rounded up, and all their texts were destroyed. We don't have many that survive today. That is the Nag Hammadi. It's mostly just teachings from Jesus. But Yaldabaoth, according to the Gnostics, is actually the one who controls this shit. It's a demiurge. Demiurge. It's a demiurge, which would mean that Adam and Eve in the Bible, so this is where Gnosticism inverts everything. So this evil guy named Yaldabaoth, who is Yahweh, speaking to the Jews, the chosen ones. In this fake world that we are enslaved to, Adam and Eve, here's Adam and Eve, they're approached by a snake, the serpent, right? In the garden, and he wants to give them knowledge. That's all he wants to give them, to wake them up. Wake them up. This is what this guy's trying to do. We think this is some sort of satanic evil entity, but if you look at it this way, this snake is actually the good deity. It's trying to wake them up. And so this gets so bad that God, the actual God, my God, the Father of Jesus Christ, sends Jesus to earth to wake these people up, to wake them up and make them see what Adam and Eve couldn't see, wake up and break from this, great haze that they're in, this thing that they're enslaved in, the hubris, relying on science and psychology and everything else, trying to wake you up that this guy created this and not real. Not real. That's really what he was trying to say. And they killed him. But he tried to wake us up, and his message still is very, very, very relevant today. And, at 2-3 billion Christians and only 15 million Jews. So, but that's basically in a nutshell, the Gnostic idea. And there's other, You know, again, it's like when you describe a Christian, every Christian's different, has different beliefs. Every Gnostic Christian has different beliefs. I am not a Gnostic per se. I don't define myself as that. Snake was based. The snake was Jeff Dye. Snake was Jeff Dye. He was trying to wake everybody up. He's trying to say, hey-yo, hell-yo, comedy.
My chain, my chain, my chain, my chain. Don't you like my chain?